My name is Emily Carter. I'm 36 years old. 3 months ago on Thanksgiving night, my own mother stood up in front of 20 relatives, pointed at me and my 10-year-old son, and said, "Leave, right now, and don't ever come back." My son was still holding his fork. He hadn't even finished his first bite. No one stopped her. Not my brother. Not my father. Not a single person at that table. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just looked at all of them and said, "Okay, but when I walk out that door, don't expect me to come back." My mother laughed. "You won't be missed." 5 minutes later, every single person in that room was begging me to stay. But before I tell you what happened that night, let me take you back. 18 months earlier, the call came at 2:12 p.m. on a Friday. I remember the time because I kept staring at my phone, hoping the numbers would change. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello? Is this Mrs. Carter?" "Yes. This is Officer Daniels with the Austin Police Department." My stomach dropped. "There's been an accident involving your husband, Michael Carter." Everything after that blurred. I don't remember driving to the hospital. I don't remember who picked up my son, Noah. I don't remember walking into that cold white hallway, but I do remember the doctor's face. That careful, rehearsed expression. "I'm very sorry, we did everything we could." Just like that. My husband of 11 years was gone. The funeral was 4 days later. It rained the entire time. Of course it did. People always say rain at funerals is poetic. It's not. It's cold. It's heavy. It sticks to your skin like grief that won't wash off. My parents came. My younger brother Tyler came with his wife. Cousins, aunts, uncles, all dressed in black, all whispering, hugging, saying the same empty phrases. "We're here for you. Stay strong. Everything happens for a reason." But here's what I remember most. Not the service, not the burial, not even the moment they lowered Michael into the ground. It was what I heard afterward. I had stepped outside the reception hall, trying to breathe. Through a half-open door, I heard my mother's voice. Low. Careful. "She's not going to handle this well." My chest tightened. Then my brother replied, "She can barely handle anything. You know that." Silence. Then my father. "We need to think about Noah." My heart stopped. "What about him?" my mother asked. "If she falls apart, that kid shouldn't suffer for it." A pause. Then the words that changed everything. "Maybe it would be better if he stayed with us." I froze. I waited. I waited for someone to say, "That's ridiculous. She's his mother. She'll be fine." No one did. Instead, my mother said quietly, "We'll give it some time, but yes, we should be prepared." Prepared. Prepared to take my child. I didn't go back inside. I left through the side exit and sat in my car for an hour, just staring at nothing, telling myself I must have misunderstood. That grief makes people say stupid things. That family doesn't betray you. Not like that. Not when you're at your lowest. I was wrong. 3 months later, the insurance money came through. Michael had taken out a policy years ago. Just in case, he'd said. I laughed at him back then. We were 28. Nothing was supposed to happen, but something did. And now I was sitting in a lawyer's office, signing papers for a $1.9 million settlement. It felt wrong, like I was being paid for losing him, like there was a number attached to his life. And the moment that money hit my account, everything changed. My mother started calling every other day. "How are you holding up, honey?" Her voice suddenly soft, warm, almost loving. My father invited me over for dinner. Twice in 1 week, my brother, who barely spoke to me before, suddenly wanted to reconnect. "Family matters now more than ever," he said. Funny, it didn't seem to matter at the funeral. By the fourth dinner, I understood what was happening. We were sitting at the table when my father cleared his throat. "Emily," he said, folding his hands, "we've been talking." That phrase alone made my stomach twist. Talking. Meaning decisions had already been made. You shouldn't be handling all that money alone. I set my fork down slowly. I'm not alone. I have a financial advisor. My brother leaned forward. "Yeah, but that's different. They don't actually care about you." "And you do?" I asked calmly. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "We're your family." There it was. My mother jumped in. "We just want to help you make smart decisions. For Noah. Always for Noah. Always using my son like leverage." After dinner, as I was putting Noah's jacket on, someone grabbed my wrist. It was my grandmother, Evelyn Carter. 82 years old. Sharp mind, sharp eyes. She leaned in close and whispered, "Don't trust them." My heart skipped. "What?" She slipped something into my hand. a folded piece of paper. "Call him," she said quietly. "Soon." Then she walked away like nothing happened. I didn't open the paper until I got home. It had one thing written on it, a phone number, and a name. Daniel Brooks. I didn't call. Not yet. Told myself I was overthinking, that my grandmother was just being paranoid, that my family wouldn't actually try to hurt me. 6 months passed. Things got worse. My brother started dropping hints. Dad's business isn't doing great. Mom's been stressed. Medical bills are piling up. Always casual, always indirect, always leading to the same point. You have all that money and we're struggling. Then one night my mother called crying. Real tears this time. "Emily, your father might lose the house." My chest tightened. Despite everything, they were still my parents. "I can help," I said quietly. "I'll give you $40,000. Silence. Then my father's voice came through the phone. She'd put me on speaker. "I don't want your charity." I blinked. "It's not charity." "Then prove it." My brother's voice cut in smoothly. "Just sign some papers. Let me manage the money for you." There it was. Finally. "What papers?" I asked. "Power of attorney. Just basic stuff." Basic. My stomach dropped. Michael's voice echoed in my mind. "Never sign anything you don't fully understand. And never mix money with family." "I need time," I said. "What's there to think about?" my brother snapped. "We're your family." I hung up. That night, I finally called the number. Refined in full storytelling style. Part 2, the phone rang twice. Daniel Brooks. His voice was calm, controlled. The kind of voice that didn't waste words. I hesitated for a second. "My name is Emily Carter. My grandmother, Evelyn, gave me your number." Silence. Not long, but long enough to make my chest tighten. "I've been expecting your call," he said. My fingers tightened around the phone. "Expecting?" "Yes. Your grandmother contacted me 3 weeks ago." A cold feeling spread through my body. "Why?" "To protect you." The next morning, I was sitting in his office. Downtown Austin. Glass walls, clean lines, everything neat, precise, almost too calm. Like the kind of place where bad news gets delivered quietly. Daniel Brooks wasn't what I expected. Early 40s, sharp eyes behind thin-frame glasses, composed, observant, the kind of man who noticed everything and reacted to nothing. But what caught my attention wasn't him. It was the photo on his desk. 2 men, graduation gowns, arms around each other, smiling. One of them was Michael. My chest tightened instantly. "You knew my husband?" Daniel followed my gaze, then nodded. "He was my best friend." The words landed heavier than I expected. "He asked me, if anything ever happened to him, to look out for you. And Noah." I swallowed hard. "You should have reached out sooner," I said quietly. "I should have," he admitted. "That's on me." Then his expression shifted. Professional. Focused. "But we don't have time to dwell on that now." He opened a folder. "Your family already made their move." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" He turned a document toward me. "Your mother and your brother contacted your husband's insurance provider 2 months ago." The room went still. "They asked about transferring beneficiary control." I stared at him. "That's not possible. The money's already in my account." "Yes," he said calmly, "but that doesn't mean they won't try other ways." Another folder. He opened it slowly. "I had a forensic accountant review your father's business." I closed my eyes for a second. I already knew. "It's not struggling," Daniel said. "It's collapsing." Silence. "He's about 3 months away from bankruptcy." My chest felt tight. "And your brother," he paused, "is in debt. Significant debt." I looked up sharply. "What kind of debt?" "The kind that doesn't wait patiently." My stomach twisted. Every conversation replayed in my head. "We're worried about you. You shouldn't handle this alone. It's for Noah." No, it wasn't. "They don't want to help you," Daniel said quietly. "They want access." The word hung in the air. Access, not support, not protection, control. I leaned back in the chair for a moment. I couldn't breathe. "What do I do?" It came out softer than I intended. Daniel closed the folder. "First, don't sign anything. Second," he studied me carefully, "your grandmother told me something else." I met his eyes. "She's changing her will." That night, Noah was crying, curled up on his bed, face buried in his pillow, his small shoulders shaking. Something inside me broke instantly. "Hey, hey!" I sat beside him, gently touching his back. "What happened?" He didn't answer. Not at first. It took time. Soft words, patience. Until finally, he whispered, "Grandma said something." My heart stopped. "What did she say?" His voice was barely there. She said, "Dad was better than you." The world tilted. She said, "He knew how to take care of me." A pause. "And you don't." For a second, I couldn't move. My own mother saying that to my child. I pulled him into my arms immediately. "Hey, look at me." He didn't want to, but I gently lifted his chin. "That's not true. Not even a little bit." His eyes were wet, confused. "I love you more than anything," I whispered, "and I will always take care of you. Always." He clung to me like I might disappear. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. Not just pain, not just anger, clarity. That night, after he fell asleep, I sat in the kitchen scrolling through my phone. A message popped up from a cousin. "Hey, is everything okay? Tyler said you've been making bad financial decisions." My chest tightened. "What?" I opened the screenshot she sent. A family group chat. One I wasn't part of. A message from my brother. "Please keep Emily in your prayers. She's not handling things well, making unstable choices." Dozens of replies. Sympathy, concern, judgment, all based on a lie. My hands started shaking. They were preparing the narrative, setting the stage. The next morning, Daniel called. "I have something," he said. My heart started racing. "What is it?" "Emails." Silence. "Between your mother and your brother." I sat down slowly. "How bad?" A pause. "Emily, they've been planning this for 8 months." The words didn't feel real. "Planning what?" He exhaled slightly. "They call it Operation Emily." 3 days before Thanksgiving, 6:15 p.m. The doorbell rang. I already knew who it was. I opened it. Tyler stood there. Perfect suit, perfect posture. A folder in his hand. "Can I come in?" I didn't answer. He walked past me anyway. I'd have set the folder on the table. Opened it. "Just sign." I didn't move. "No. No." He smiled, but it wasn't warmth. It was calculation. "You don't understand, Emily." "I understand enough." His voice dropped. "This isn't a request." "Then this is definitely a no." He stepped closer. Too close. "You really think you can handle this?" he whispered. "You're not strong. You never were." I didn't react. "You got lucky. That's it." I held his gaze. "Leave." He picked up the folder, walked to the door, then stopped. Thanksgiving. 7 p.m. A pause. "Bring the signed papers or don't bother coming." The door slammed behind him. The next morning, 6 a.m., my phone rang. "Dad." I stared at the screen for a long moment, then answered. "You'll be at dinner," he said. Not asked, told. "I'll be there." Silence. "And you'll sign." I closed my eyes. "No." The pause that followed was heavy. Final. "Then don't come," he said coldly. "We don't want you there." I swallowed. "Understood." And I hung up. That night my grandmother called. "Come see me. Tomorrow, alone." Her house was quiet. Too quiet. She locked the door behind me, walked slowly to her desk, and pulled out an envelope, thick, sealed. She pressed it into my hands. "Take it." I looked at her. "What is this?" "Insurance." My heart started pounding. "Don't open it until dinner." "What's inside?" She smiled slightly, but there was something sharp behind it. The truth. A pause. And something they'll never see coming. That night, I couldn't sleep. The envelope sat under my pillow, heavy, like it had its own gravity. Daniel's voice echoed in my head. "Let them think they're in control." Then you end it. Thanksgiving Day. My grandmother's house glowed with warm light. Laughter spilled through the windows. The smell of food filled the air. Perfect. Beautiful. Fake. And in my bag, I had 2 things. The envelope and the truth. They thought they were about to break me. They had no idea I was about to break everything. Part 3 will include the dinner confrontation, the public setup, what was inside the envelope, and the exact moment everything collapsed. Thanksgiving dinner started like nothing was wrong. That was the worst part. The normality. The laughter, the clinking of glasses, the smell of roasted turkey filling the room. Like this wasn't a setup. Like I wasn't walking into a trap. Noah stayed close to me. Quiet, watching everything. He could feel it too. Kids always can. We were one of the last to arrive. I noticed the looks immediately. Quick glances, whispers, people avoiding eye contact. They already believed the story, the one my brother created. At the head of the table sat my father. Straight posture, cold expression. Next to him, my mother. Perfect, composed, like nothing had ever happened. And beside her, Tyler, relaxed, confident, like he had already won. "Emily," my mother said sweetly, "sit down." I took my seat. Noah sat beside me. I placed my bag carefully at my feet. The envelope inside felt heavier than ever. Dinner went on. Small talk, fake smiles, tension hiding just beneath the surface. Then, halfway through the meal, Tyler stood up. He tapped his glass. The room went quiet. Of course it did. This was planned. "I just want to say something," he began. His voice was calm, polished, practiced. "My sister Emily has been through a lot this past year. Murmurs of agreement, sympathy, exactly what he wanted. But lately," he continued, "we've become concerned." My hands tightened under the table. "Here it comes. She's been making unstable financial decisions." A few people shifted uncomfortably, some nodded, they believed him. "We've tried to help her privately," he said, "but she refuses." He reached under his chair, pulled out the folder, placed it on the table, slowly, deliberately. "So tonight, in front of the people who love her." He looked straight at me. "I'm asking her to accept help." He opened the folder, turned it toward me. "Sign the papers, Emily." Silence. Heavy, pressing. Every eye in the room was on me, waiting, expecting. Noah's small voice beside me. "Mom," I felt his hand grab mine. At the head of the table, my father spoke. "Do the right thing. Not for me. Not for Noah. For them." I stood up slowly. My heart was beating hard, but my voice was steady. "No." The word cut through the room. Sharp. Final. Tyler blinked like he didn't process it at first. "Excuse me?" I said no. My father stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly. "You don't get to say no." His voice was rising. Anger, control slipping. "Not after everything we've done for you." I looked at him. Really looked. "For me," I said quietly. "What exactly have you done?" His face darkened. "We raised you, and now you're trying to control me," I replied. My mother finally spoke. Cold. Precise. "You've always been selfish, Emily." The words landed like ice. I felt Noah tense beside me. That was it. That was the moment. My father pointed toward the door. "Then get out." Silence. "You and that child, now." Tyler crossed his arms, satisfied. "You shouldn't have come if you weren't going to cooperate." I looked around the room. At every single face, no one spoke. No one defended me. Then my mother said it. Calm, clear. "Thanksgiving would be better without you." Something inside me went completely still. Noah's grip tightened. I felt his tears before I saw them. I bent slightly and picked up my bag. "Okay," I said quietly. Relief flashed across Tyler's face. "But before I go," I reached into my bag, pulled out my phone. "You won't mind if I make one call?" My father scoffed. "Calling the police? Go ahead." I met his eyes. "Not the police." I pressed dial, put it on speaker. One ring, two. "Daniel Brooks." "I'm here," I said. "Come in." A pause, then, "I'm at the door." Knock. Every head turned. My grandmother's voice cut through the silence. "Let him in." The door opened. Daniel walked in, calm, composed, carrying a leather briefcase. "I'm Daniel Brooks," he said evenly. "Attorney at law." The room shifted instantly. My father stepped forward. "What is this?" Daniel didn't react. "I represent Emily Carter." A pause. "And Evelyn Carter." My grandmother stood up slowly. For the first time that night, she spoke. "Go ahead." Daniel placed the briefcase on the table, opened it. "What I have here," he pulled out a stack of documents, "is a complete email chain between Tyler Carter and Patricia Carter." Silence. Dead silence. My mother froze. Tyler didn't move. Daniel flipped the first page. Subject line, Operation Emily. Gasps. Actual gasps. "That's private," Tyler snapped. "It was forwarded," Daniel said calmly, "which makes it admissible." He looked around the room. "Would anyone like me to read it?" No one answered. "I'll start anyway." He read, "Emily is weak. She'll fold under pressure, especially at a family gathering." The room shifted. People looked at Tyler, at my mother. "Next email," Daniel continued. "We'll tell everyone she's unstable, that she's making bad decisions. By the time we ask her to sign, no one will question it." My cousin covered her mouth. My aunt shook her head slowly. "That's out of context," my mother whispered. Daniel didn't stop. "Once she signs the power of attorney, we control everything." Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. My father stepped forward. "This proves nothing." Daniel reached into his briefcase again, pulled out another document. Digital forensic certification, emails verified, devices traced. He placed it on the table. No one touched it. Tyler was shaking now. "Emily, please, I can explain." "I'm not interested in explanations," I said quietly. Daniel nodded once, then reached into the briefcase again, and finally he pulled out a blue-bound document, official, stamped, my grandmother's will. My mother stood up abruptly. What? Daniel opened it. I, Evelyn Carter, being of sound mind. The room held its breath. Leave my primary residence and all associated assets. Pause. To my granddaughter, Emily Carter. Everything exploded. No! Tyler shouted. That house is supposed to be mine! You wanted to sell it, my grandmother said coldly. I listened. My mother's face crumbled. You're choosing her over your own daughter? I'm choosing integrity over greed, my grandmother replied. And then something no one expected happened. My mother dropped to her knees. Right there, in front of everyone. Emily, please. Her voice broke. I didn't mean it, any of it. Tyler followed, desperation in his eyes. I was under pressure. You don't understand. I just stood there, watching. The same people who threw me out, now begging me to stay. I looked down at Noah, then back at them. I understand perfectly, I said. Silence. You lied about me. You tried to take everything from me. You made my son believe I wasn't enough. I shook my head. I'm not here for revenge. They looked up, hope, desperate. But I am done. I stepped back, took Noah's hand. You said life would be better without me. I met their eyes. Now you get to find out. We walked to the door. No one stopped us. No one dared. Behind me, silence. The kind of silence that only comes after the truth destroys everything. 3 months later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I already knew who it was. But this time, I didn't feel fear. Only peace. And for the first time since everything happened, I realized something. They didn't lose me that night. They lost access. And that was everything. Если хочешь, я дальше могу сделать еще более вирусный вариант, как для YouTube. Или написать заголовок с описания «A hook», как у топ-каналов, или разобрать, почему эта история набирает просмотры. Скажи,